Hi Greedy 3Ders, welcome to today's episode. Today I'm going to be making the Thanos bust from Wicked. It's been sat in my to-do box for far too long, so we finally got around to making it and painting it all up, and we hope you enjoy that process. Now I just want to take this moment to say, if you like what you see today, please subscribe to the channel. We do have a Patreon. If you want to join the Patreon, all the details will be in the item description. Now I'm not saying you have to subscribe, and I'm not saying you have to join the Patreon, but if you don't, now, as can normally happen when you're painting things, plan A may not work. I was considering slap chopping old Thanos here, so I took the slap chopper bits and bobs, which is some purple speed paint, a grey and a white primer. I took some dry brushes and I used some dry brush techniques to put a layer of grey all over him, and when that was dry, a layer of white, and when both those highlighted areas were dry, got some of that purple, painted it on, but nah, didn't work. It was way too dark and I didn't get the contrast that I wanted. So over to plan B. Now plan B was back to the airbrush and some Blood Mother purple from the Army Painter mega set, and I'm going to go straight all over that slap choppy work that I did and give him a base layer of this purple. This was the tester first to see just how I'm going to get that skin tones. So I thought then, after this purple had gone on, what can I do to bring the tone down or bring it higher? And mega set had the answer for me, using some of the triad colour of the Coven purple, and this is absolutely spotty dog. Let's get a layer or two of that across Thanos, and I was quite happy now that he's got that pinky purpley colour that he has. It's not the end result by a long shot, but this is the base layers of skin that I'm going to be using. There'll be some dry brushing later on to highlight a few areas, but I'm quite happy with that as a base layer of skin colour for Thanos. I put a tad more of the lighter purple on and he was done, and happy with that. So moving forward with the rest of the parts for Thanos, where his skin is showing on his arms to start with, and I'm going to batter on some of that Blood Mother purple as a base colour. Now if you want to buy any of these paints, you can get them from the item description. I'll put a link in there, and as an Amazon affiliate, if you buy them from me, it supports the channel. It really does help, and a little bit will come back to the channel. Now as you can see, I've moved on to the higher tone pink now, or purple, and I'm just giving it a general layer across just to try to reflect where the sun would touch it. So that higher layer of purple is going on, and it looks fantastic on the hand. Absolutely wonderful the way that the different contrasting colours all settle in. And again, on his body, same thing again. Now there they are, drying nicely in the man cave. And I've took some of this metallic red, which I bought from Amazon, link in the description, just to go over the black that I gave the glove. I wanted this glove to look a little bit battered and a little bit well worn. It's the Iron Man gauntlet, of course. I'll do a little bit more work on this, but from a base layer of red, I'm really chuffed with how this metallic comes out. This is the metallic that I used on the Captain America shield as well, and I'm really pleased with how that's come out. It's not clean, it's not pristine. I don't want it to look like that. They've just had a battle. And to protect all my work, I'm using some of this crystal clear Rust-Oleum varnish to protect those skin tones. I've masking taped off the areas I want to protect on the skin tones, because I'm going to have to do a little bit of work on this model and get some gold on there soon. But for the face, I'm using the Vallejo liquid mask. Now if you've never used this is a great stuff. It starts off as a liquid, paint it over the areas that you do not want to get paint on, and it turns into like a rubbery kind of solution substance that you peel after your paint job. It's really good stuff, really useful. Get yourself some, link in the description. And I've used some greedy gold to the armour, and I'm just going to put a liberal coat across the black of the greedy gold. I want to allow a little bit of the black to come through, completely saturate it with gold just to add a little bit of depth and texture to the model. And this Army Painter Air Mega Set, it's one of the metallic range, is really good for that. And of course I'm going to do the rest of his armour in the same paint in the same way. And there we go, that's all the gold on, and I peel now some of that liquid mask off. It's a really lovely effect peeling this off. It's like sunburn. It sounds a bit, but it's just like that. You're peeling off this layer. It's absolutely therapeutic. And there he is. That's him done. As you can see, the face is well protected under the gold. And I'm going to take all the masking tape off also, and that will do a very similar thing to the mask, and it will protect his skin, as you can see. And if you want to buy that really thin masking tape, there will be a link in the description there. Using some gemstone, again, range from Army Painter, I'm just giving the glove another layer of red just to add really to the level and depth of it. And that's the paint done and dusted. And I'm taking this now, some graphite powder. Now, I've done a video previously, Bucky Barnes' arm, and I'm going to use this graphite powder to do the sword, and it's brilliant. I've just done a layer of black, first of all, a shiny layer of black spray paint, and I'm just going to paint this on using a great big sponge, and it's simple. Make sure you wear gloves because this is messy. Get it on there. It really is easy to apply, as you can see. And once you've got it all over there, like I say, you make sure you protect your work surfaces and get some gloves on. Take some cotton wool and buff like crazy, and it will bring it up to a really shiny metallic finish. It's excellent stuff. Again, link in the description. And there you go, you can see the real strong metallic look that it's given it. So shiny black paint and that graphite, and voila, all done. Now, I've been gifted these brushes, and again there'll be a link in the description. I've used these now on 4 or 5 different occasions, and each time they've done really well, and the tip of them has been really well maintained. I'm quite happy with these. As I say, they were gifted to me, but if you do want to buy some, you know where to find that link. Right, over to the face now. And I'm going to do his eyes first, and I'm just using some white mixed with a real slight hint of grey for his eyes, and I'm taking my time. I'm using one of the smallest brushes in the set, and I'm going to just layer in some white, and there we go. That's what it looks like when the white is on. Now, Thanos' eyes are blue, so I'm just putting a base layer of blue down for the irises on each of his faces. And then I'm going to do a lot more work in the background, some pupils, some pink under the eye, a lighter blue in there, and that's the end result of the eyes. I've done the eyes pretty similar to how I do all the eyes, so if you want a detailed sort of video, check out some of my other videos. Now, for the inner parts to the armour, I needed a dark blue, so I've mixed some ultramarine blue and some black to get the effect that I want. And there's certain areas on the armour that need to be darkened, and if you're not sure which areas they are, just have a little look at a reference picture. There's a little bit of ad-lib in this. You don't have to make it 100% screen accurate if you don't want to. You can add bits and pieces here and there. Just follow your eye. It's your model. Do what you want with your model. And this paint straight over the gold really well. Took 2 layers to make it nice and thick to cover the gold completely. So I didn't show you both of these layers going on, but I did give it a second coat. Now, I've taken tainted gold from the Air Mega set, and I'm going to use that just to extenuate certain areas of the armour. Again, I did look at a couple of reference pictures, but there was a little bit of ad-libbing went in here as well, just to make the gold look a little bit more varied and a little bit more prestige. This is Thanos after all. I took my time with this bit, and I really did layer it across there in certain areas, and the effect is pretty good. I'm very pleased with how it's looked. You can use maybe a little bit of copper if you want to, but I just like this tarnished gold. Now, going back to the greedy gold, I'm just touching up certain areas, especially on his arms there, but also across the armour where maybe I just want to tidy it up a little bit. It's nice to have this as a paint as well, just to touch up those areas. Now for the skeletons, I'm putting a base layer of skeleton bone on. This was and is one of my favourite army painter paints. There's quite a few varied uses, but of course it is skeleton bone, so this is its main use. And just take your time with this, get all the areas of the skeleton, and we'll come back to them in a bit. And that's what they look like with the base layer on. Really, really nice. That's not the end result by a long shot. I'm going to show you an easy way to wash them afterwards and make them look even more realistic. Now, rough iron I've used for the handle of his sword, and I'm just going to use a small brush and get in between his fingertips there and just paint that a nice rough iron colour, and parts also of the sword where they join together will get the same effect. Now going back to those skulls, take some pallid bone, the speed paint from Army Painter, and just literally apply it to the skulls. This speed paint is really, really good stuff. It will settle into the depths and crevices of the skull and make it look really, really dark. So make sure you poke a little bit of that paint into the sort of eye sockets, and that will make it look really, really black and dark. And as you can see, those skulls they've just come to life, haven't they? Now, for the dry brushing of the skin, I've taken a purple and a white and I've mixed them together to get this kind of shade, and I'm going to apply it on a really large makeup brush using a dry brush technique, and I'm just going to go over his face to highlight the outer areas. Now, just be aware, do this delicately, make sure the brush is dry, make sure there's only a smidge of paint on there, and all I want to do is just make it look like some reflections on the outer parts of his face, and I'm doing obviously the same to both of his heads, and I'll also do the rest of all the skin tones in exactly the same way. Okay, I'm shining silver on a nice clean dry brush, and I'm going to go over the sword very, very briefly with that. And also, while I've got that silver on, and again I'm only using a very light shade of that silver, I'm going to go over some of the gold areas just to add a few silver effects to the edges. It really does just add that little touch to it. It's not a massive difference, but you really will see the difference when you've done this on your own work. I don't think the camera has picked it up perfectly, but it's made a massive difference to the armour. Now for the gauntlet for his infinity stones, I'm going to be painting each one of those white, as you can see there, and I've done a little bit of work on the gauntlet. I've painted a few bits of silver and a few bits of gold just to try to jazz it up a little bit, and I've used a few reference pictures also for that, but the white's going on for where the infinity stones are going, and take some soft tone now back to his face, and I'm going to just extenuate his scars with a little bit of that wash, just all in the little nooks and crannies of his face, and he's got a few old scars, Thanos has. And also I'm going to do the lines in his chin with it as well, just to make them stick out a little bit. There we go, that's what he looks like, and I think you'll agree, it looks absolutely amazing. Same again on the other head, no change, no difference. And that's what his other head looks like, and the same wash now on a big brush, big flat brush, and I'm just going to paint it all across the armour. It will just add that dirtiness, it will settle in the crevices, and it will just give another shade to that armour. So that armour's had a fair few layers of shade on it and different colours, as it is quite a large portion of the model. You really do want to work on that armour and make it look as good as you can, so some dry brushing and some washes as well. Now I'm going to do the infinity stones. I'm just going to follow a reference picture. I'm not going to show you all the colours I use because, you know, they're pretty standard colours, and I'm sure you've got these lying around, but once the infinity stones are done and dusted, that's what they look like. I love that gauntlet, absolutely love it. And I've took some of this technical paint from Citadel, Blood for the Blood God, and I'm going to use a dry, hard brush, and I'm going to speckle the blood across the sword. This is a great way of making blood splat effects. Make sure you protect your work behind, and make sure you use a bit of towel, otherwise it's going to go everywhere. And of course I'm going to do exactly the same to his hand that he's holding the sword with, and also on the one side of his armour which side the sword is on. Take some varnish. I'm using some Vallejo varnish here, and I'm just going to pop a little dollop in all of the eyes on the two heads. And this will just add that final shimmer and shine across his eyes. It looks a bit bluey grey, don't worry, it will dry clear. And the infinity stones, to make them shine and shimmer also, they're all going to have a dollop of Vallejo. Also, some nice varnish going on. Base I did in a couple of segments really. The main part of the base, the kind of stone effect, I've just mixed a little bit of grey with a little hint of yellow as a base colour, and then I've just used a light grey and a white to dry brush across some of the stones just to give it that rocky effect. The skeleton sort of skulls there, they've been done with skeleton bone and some pallid bone wash from one of the speed paints as before, and the outer layer I've just painted black and I've dry brushed with a little bit of silver. You might see a little few tufts in there, they're just army fields, battlefields basing tufts, and that's the base pretty much done and dusted. Relatively easy to do, but the effect is absolutely astounding. Well, I hope you enjoyed the making and the painting of Thanos. It's been a really wonderful bust from Wicked. They do some amazing things, and please check out their Patreon, and I will put the link to that in the description. Now, talking of Patreons, we have a new member. Welcome to Greedy 3D's Patreon, to Michael Tharm. Thank you for all you guys' support. It really, really does help me and allows me to carry on doing things like this. Now, if you want to join the Patreon, please feel free to do so. All the links will be in the description. If you want to support the channel further, you can do that by buying any products from the description link, and a little bit of kickback from Amazon affiliate will come back to us. Subscribe to the channel. The algorithm likes you to like, share, comment away on the process, anything you liked, anything you didn't like. But thank you so far for all your support, and I'll see you next time on Greedy 3D.